I never imagined I would take satisfaction in another person's downfall, especially not someone I once cherished deeply. Yet here I stand, watching Sarah's expression crumble as the truth sinks in. A cold sense of justice washes over me. "You can't do this," she whispers, her voice trembling. Everything we built was together. I slide the prenuptial agreement across the table, my finger resting on the clause she signed without a second thought 3 years ago. Page 4, Section 12, Sarah. You should have read the fine print. But let me start from the beginning. 3 weeks earlier, I was rushing through the airport, clutching a bouquet of red roses, eager to surprise Sarah on our 3rd wedding anniversary. I had cut my business trip short, my heart full of anticipation. In my pocket was a velvet box containing diamond earrings, a gift to match her sparkling eyes I once believed I could lose myself in forever. The cab ride home was filled with memories. I recalled how we met in college, Sarah sketching alone in a cafe. I approached her nervously, somehow making her laugh. From that moment, she became my world. Our wedding day 3 years ago felt like the natural next step in our love story. As the taxi pulled up to our home, I noticed Daniel's car parked outside. Daniel, my closest friend since high school, was likely helping Sarah prepare for our anniversary celebration. I smiled at the thought. Sarah always wanted everything perfect, and Daniel was the kind of friend who'd drop everything to help. I entered quietly, hoping to surprise them. The house was silent, but faint sounds came from upstairs. Music, laughter. I crept up the stairs, excitement building. The bedroom door was slightly ajar. One step closer and the sounds became unmistakable. Time froze. Sarah was there. So was Daniel. They were tangled in our bed. The same bed where I had comforted her through nightmares, where we had planned our future, where I believed we had shared love. But what I witnessed wasn't love. It was betrayal in its rawest form. A sound must have escaped me because Sarah turned toward the door. Our eyes locked, and instead of shock or guilt, I saw irritation. "James," she said flatly, making no effort to cover herself or disentangle from Daniel, who at least had the decency to look horrified. "You weren't supposed to be back until tomorrow." Her casual tone felt like a knife to my chest. "How long?" I asked, my voice eerily calm. Sarah sighed, as if my question was an inconvenience. "Does it matter?" "About 6 months," Daniel admitted, pulling the sheet up, shame written across his face. 6 months. While I worked late to secure our future, traveled to support Sarah's art studio, they had been deceiving me. "I never truly loved you, James," Sarah said, her voice detached. "You were safe, reliable, but with Daniel it's real. It's passion." Each word shattered the life I thought we had. I looked at Daniel, my brother in all but blood, who had stood by me through my parents' bitter divorce. "And you?" I asked softly. "I'm sorry, James. It just happened." A strange calm settled over me. Without another word, I turned and walked out, past the roses that now felt like a cruel joke, and drove to a hotel. At dawn, I called my sister, Rachel. "I need a place to stay," I said, "and a lawyer." My parents' divorce had been brutal. My father's infidelity led to a legal war, with my mother ensuring he paid dearly. I had sworn never to put anyone through that pain. Yet, ironically, I had insisted on a prenuptial agreement before marrying Sarah. Not out of distrust, but to avoid the messy dissolution I had witnessed as a child. "It's just a formality," I had assured her. "Something to protect us both." Sarah had been offended. "Don't you trust me?" "Of course I do. This isn't about trust. It's about practicality." She signed without reading the details, including the infidelity clause my lawyer had included. If either party engages in extramarital relations leading to divorce, all joint assets, properties, and business investments will go to the non-offending party. Any businesses financially supported by the non-offending party will revert to their control. Rachel, a corporate lawyer, reviewed the agreement the day after I discovered Sarah's betrayal. "This is airtight," she said. "But are you sure you want to do this? It will ruin her." "She ruined us first," I replied. For 2 weeks, I remained silent. Sarah's frantic calls and texts went unanswered. Through Rachel, I learned she and Daniel had moved in together, assuming I'd return for a standard divorce, splitting everything equally. But I was preparing for war. I hired a private investigator to document their affair, gathered evidence, and waited for Sarah to slip up. Her mistake came quickly. She tried withdrawing a large sum from our joint account, likely to keep her studio afloat. That was my cue. On the morning of my retaliation, I transferred all funds to an account in my name, contacted her studio's landlord to withdraw support, and hired movers to empty our home of everything valuable, except her personal belongings. When Sarah returned that evening, the house was nearly bare. Her call came at 9:43 p.m. "What have you done?" she screamed. "Where is everything?" "Meet me tomorrow at noon," I replied calmly. "The Capitol Grill." The next day I arrived early, dressed in my best suit, the one Sarah always said made me look powerful. She arrived disheveled, Daniel trailing behind. "You brought him?" I remarked. "Interesting choice." "Whatever you have to say, you can say to both of us," she snapped. I slid a folder across the table. "Copies of the prenup, evidence of your infidelity, and our current asset distribution." Sarah's face paled as she read the infidelity clause. "You can't do this," she whispered. "Page 4, Section 12, I said, tapping the document. "You should have read the fine print." Daniel interjected. "This is insane. You can't just take everything." "The agreement is enforceable," I replied. "And yes, I can." Sarah trembled. "The studio. It's my dream." "Your dream, funded by my investments," I corrected. "The landlord has been notified. The studio is closing." Daniel lunged, but I stopped him. "Before you act, know that your employer has been informed about your affair with my wife." His face drained of color. His career was over. "Why are you doing this?" Sarah asked, tears streaming. "This is cruel." "Cruel?" I leaned forward. "Cruel is lying for 6 months. Cruel is sleeping with my best friend in our bed. Cruel is telling me you never loved me after I gave you everything." I stood. "I've paid for lunch. Enjoy it. It might be your last expensive meal for a while." As I walked away, Sarah called after me. "James, please, we can fix this." I turned. "No, Sarah. You didn't make a mistake. You made a choice. And now, so have I." The divorce was swift. The prenup held. Sarah's studio closed, her reputation tarnished. She and Daniel moved into a small apartment. Daniel lost his job, his career in ruins. I sold our home, bought a penthouse, and traveled. Tokyo, Sydney, Cape Town. I collected experiences, keeping relationships at arm's length. A year later, Sarah emailed, "James, I don't expect forgiveness. I've had time to reflect. I'm truly sorry." Daniel left. What we had wasn't love, just selfishness. "I'm working at a small gallery now. I hope you found peace." I never replied. 2 years later, at a charity gala, I bid on a painting signed L. Harrison, Sarah's maiden name. It depicted a man facing a stormy sea, raw and emotional. I hung it in my office, a reminder of how pain transforms us. 3 years post-divorce, I ran into Daniel in San Francisco. He looked worn, nervous. "I'm not here for forgiveness," he said. "But you should know, the affair wasn't accidental. Sarah pursued me, planned to contest the prenup by claiming emotional neglect." He handed me emails proving her scheme. "She's writing a memoir," he added, "painting you as abusive, the prenup as coerced." I hired investigators. The emails were real. Her memoir manuscript twisted reality. Instead of suing or exposing her publicly, I offered a deal. Drop the memoir, sign an NDA, and I'll provide a modest income, enough for a small gallery. She accepted, writing, "James, I don't deserve this. Thank you for mercy I didn't earn." 6 months later, I attended the opening of her new gallery. Our eyes met briefly. She smiled. Years passed, and life moved forward. Sarah's small gallery flourished modestly, a quiet testament to her talent when stripped of deceit. I, on the other hand, had built an empire. My reputation as a shrewd but fair businessman solidified. Yet, despite success, I never remarried. Trust, once broken, was a fragile thing, one I wasn't eager to test again. Then, on a rainy evening in London, fate intervened. I was attending an art exhibition, a favor to a client, when I noticed a familiar figure across the room. Sarah stood by a painting, her auburn hair now streaked with silver, her smile softer, but still radiant. She hadn't seen me yet. For a moment, I considered leaving. There was no unfinished business between us, no anger left to fuel a confrontation. But something made me stay. I approached her. "L. Harrison," I said, using her artist name. She turned, her eyes widening briefly before settling into calm recognition. "James?" A pause. "I didn't expect to see you here." "Neither did I." I glanced at the painting, a stormy seascape, waves crashing against rocks. "Your work?" She nodded. Inspired by the past, we stood in silence, the unspoken weight of our history hanging between us. "You look well," she finally said. "So do you." Another pause. Then, surprising myself, I asked, "Do you ever regret it?" Sarah exhaled, her gaze drifting to the painting. "Every day. Not just for losing you, but for the person I became." She met my eyes. "Do you?" I thought about it. "Number. But I don't hate you either." "That chapter's closed." She smiled faintly. "I'm glad." A server passed by with champagne. I took 2 glasses, handing her one. "To new beginnings," I said. She clinked her glass against mine. "To peace." We parted ways that night without promises or lingering words. Some stories aren't meant for reconciliation, just closure. As I walked back to my hotel, the rain had stopped. The streets glistened under the lamplight, the air fresh with renewal. For the first time in years, I felt no weight on my shoulders. The end. If you enjoyed this story and felt the emotions behind it, don't forget to give it a like, share it with others, and subscribe to the channel for more real-life experiences and heartfelt stories. Your support means the world, and it helps us bring more content like this to you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.